Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most graceful. This is the real story about what's happening in Gaza. When you watch what's happening through the news, through the media, social media, from different angles, you find out, you get to different realities. These realities are not true because you have built that reality upon multiple assumptions you assumed by watching such media. Here in Gaza, I live and I witnessed what happened. Since years, our whole land has been occupied by foreigners. We do not know their language. They have never been here before, from different countries around the world. They came with the British forces, who was a colonizer and colonized our land, and then step by step they took our land and occupied it and killed, uprooted families who were living inside, and left some places which are called Gaza Strip, West Bank, and then surrounded it with blockade to cause damage, both socially, medically, and even psychologically to the remaining Palestinian society. Years after years, definitely resistance will arouse, and it have been a long time in agreements, fighting again, and having multiple leaders and multiple parties controlling the situation in both sides, and always the Palestinians were the people who would pay more for living in their land. They would risk their lives, their families, their lifestyle, just for being in their land. Several parties tried fighting with different types of weaponry they could gain by cold wars happening between superpowers globally, and this ended with having us some types of weapons that was merely used for self-defense. Trials and trials and trials have been to break this blockade, to cause damage to this occupier who occupied our land, the IDF. And eventually, people with will went through this battle. And it happened on the 7th of October, trying to get some of our land, some of our rights. And we risked everything. Palestinians have risked everything for such a moment. What can they do? The whole world doesn't care about us, doesn't care about our rights. Nobody cares. And when this happens, you have to take the risk upon yourself. And this is what happened. The Palestinians had to fight. They had no other choices. Trials for politicians, trials for agreements, trials for helping people by different national global organizations. It didn't work. It's our land and we need it back. And here the Zionists are not giving it back easily. This is what happened. And then in return they bombed us and they caused this killing. Now some people would say, would it be expected that after such a military operation this will happen? Of course, it was expected. And such damage that happened to the remnants of our country was expected. But people have no choice. Now the suffering will continue to generations, and the history will blame us for not taking actions. And this is what happened. Now anyone who read the events through what happened since 7th of October till now will be biased wrongly to the IDF, to the Zionist country. But if you read the history completely since this state has been founded, you will know clearly that we are seeking for our freedom. We are seeking for our rights. We are not calling for revenge or killing back who you killed, as much as we are seeking our rights. So do yourself a favor. If you think that by any means the Palestinians should be blamed for what happened since 7th of October, just read the history. You can read it from any angle and you will understand definitely that this state before 1945 before 1948 wasn't their land. and later on they occupied it and called it the name it has till today. For that year it wasn't called the same name. And at the same time, if you think what the Palestinian has done at the 7th of October was more aggressive, and they should be more more specific at the targets and more careful, just read the history of the genocide of the Palestinian people by the IDF. You will simply understand that we have done nothing compared to them. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been killed through years. Hundreds of thousands have been starved to death. Hundreds of thousands hadn't enough education, enough food, clean water to drink. And these people have the land, they share it like their neighbors, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt. These places are great places for agriculture, trading, good economics. But the Zionists took their country and left them starved to death. Understanding this will give you a clue of what's happening now and what's your role in what's happening now. Definitely, staying at home watching news is not the way to correct wrong things that happen around the world. Each and every person on earth should take an action to prevent the unjustified killing of Palestinians by the means allowed legally in his country. This message I send from here in Gaza is for the remaining people around the world who still have conscience, who still see what is right and what is wrong, and brave enough to defend his principles. That's it. That's all what I wanted to say today.